want to do this video today a little bit differently. I want to share a personal big lesson that I've learned this last week. Um, I want to, before I do that though, I want to talk about leading up to that. Okay. So, first, the world's completely gone crazy, I guess is the word for it. Um, we really are reaching those last days before this shift. I do feel it. Feel it in my soul. I feel it in my heart. Um, Many of us, humanity included, and then us volunteers and starseeds, many of us have grown accustomed to the craziness. We've allowed ourselves to be distracted by the outer world events. We've become so focused on things that are not important. They're temporary. And I'm talking about things like money, material things, politics, all that stuff. And we become so accustomed to seeing so much negativity in the news and so much manipulation by the media, whether it's the mainstream media or it's the alternative media. Okay. There are a lot of things, and there's been a lot of things coming out where in the beginning of this year, when COVID happened, many of us got excited, not excited in that respect, excited because there was that aspect that was going to discuss all the truths come out, okay? All of the arrests, all of the truths about what has been going on in this world. And we really literally have not seen any of it come out in mainstream media, and mainly due to the media being controlled by those who have been doing these things. And so you have that as a big impact, okay? But my point in this is distraction. It's the outer world distraction. We've become so accustomed to these outer world things that many of us have lost our sensitivity to others and compassion. I mean, not saying completely, but we've become desensitized to what's happening. And we become separate. And we become we've become disjointed, dislocated from our true self. Okay? God, source, creator, that's who we are inside. And many of us have become distracted from that and lost that. Not necessarily lost, I should say, but I should say we've put it to the back burner. We've forgotten about it. And I've noticed this in humanity. I've noticed this in many of the star seeds and light workers that I see, like I'm doing blogs. We are, and I don't want to bring this in a negative, I'm not trying to do that, but we are literally in those end days. We are literally in this great awakening. And there are so many distractions out there that are trying to keep people in this. There's nothing wrong with this physical. It's beautiful. I love Mother Earth. I love the beauty here. Third density and third dimension, like I said, was set up to be a choice. It's a choice for what we want, the positive or the negative, okay? Light or dark. Or if you don't choose, you will continue repeating these third dimensional lives. Now, each planet also goes through, like I said, a cycle. We're at the end of this master cycle, which means that this planet becomes basically a shell, okay, a skeleton of itself, okay? We are meant to leave. This is not our permanent home. This is a temporary experience for us, for many, especially in humanity, to choose which direction they want to go into. Um, for us light workers and starseeds, us starseeds, volunteers, it is a big lesson for us. It is a eye opener. We volunteered here to help. Now, I've seen volunteers strayed from the path. Many are getting distracted by things like a monetary system. That's a good example of, oh, we're going to have money again and it's going to be equally distributed and whatever. That's okay. That's your belief. You know, if you believe that, that's your choice. I'm not going to judge it or that. But that's not really why we're here. We're here to, as volunteers, starseeds and light workers, to help people understand the God within them, within each person, to show that compassion and show that light that's inside each of us, to bring people away from those outer distractions, because those outer distractions are meant to keep people stuck here. It's meant to keep people in this physical world, to become slaves to this outer world. That's what the purpose is. That's what they want. And this past week has been a really eye-opener for me. I realized that I was becoming insensitive and not showing compassion to humanity. I realized for me that I was having that attitude, well, this is the way it is. This is the darkness coming out. People have to deal with it. Oh, well, you know, and not necessarily purposely doing that. But like, again, I said, the more outer distraction that gets to us, the more we become insensitive. And I've noticed a lot of people doing this, both in humanity and both starseeds and volunteers. Because we have to look at many in humanity have become, they become so used to this type of living, this type of lives. Many of them have never had any other lives on other planets, so they don't know anything different. So they've had lives over and over and over again on this planet to be manipulated by the same systems over and over again. They don't know any different. So they follow what's told to them, what to do, where to work, where to live, where to go to school, what to eat, what to watch, so etc. That they forget who they are here. And as volunteers, starseeds, light workers, that is our role, is to come here to get people to look here, not out there. And many are getting distracted by those outer things. This world is meant to get people back to their hearts, back to God, back to love. Not about money, not about politics, not about any of that. No, it's not about that. And right now, we're at that final decision point, what people can do. Now, I know, and just because we're volunteers and starseeds, we don't get a free pass either. There are other starseeds that might not make it. I'll give you an example. In the last cycle, okay, there's 3 cycles, like I said, 3 25,000-year periods to make up a master cycle. The end of that last 25,000-year period, only 150 volunteers or starseeds were ready to ascend, and there were a lot more than that here. The rest were not ready to go back to where they came from. So, like I said, just because we're volunteers or starseeds doesn't mean we have a free pass either. we can get distracted. We can get off the path. We can be also distracted by this outer world and what's not important. It's temporary. So this brings me to the event, this shift, this, you can call it the ascension, this rapture, whatever. Like I said again, I have been told that there will be 3 waves. The last wave mainly of evacuation. There will be this first wave who are ready, who are heart-centered, who are seen and not being allowing the outer distractions get to them, who are ready to move forward, because this is a temporary here. We're not meant to stay here. Once that first wave shifts, there will be people, families separated, people going, friends separated. One stays, one goes. And I'm not trying to do it to scare people, but I'm trying to get people to realize it's not about the outer world. It's not about the outer distractions. And after this first wave, it's going to be very, very difficult. There's going to be a lot more trials and tribulations happening. So it's important to get back to your heart center, back to that compassion, that kindness, forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of others, showing that same thing to other people. It's about living in the light, living with joy, living with love. It's not who cares about the politics. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be there. And this world is not going to be here. And I believe, there are a lot that believe that this world will change and it will become better. It's not, the purpose is to, like I said, to choose in this third density, to choose which direction you want to go into. It's a temporary thing. It's to find your connection back to your God self, who you are. That's what this purpose is. It's to find that connection back. It's not about fixing things or changing things. It's right now it's happening. Now, I'm concerned because there are people that I know that I don't want to be left behind that first wave. I don't want other people to. I want people to all be able to leave here, because there are many, many, many dark people on this planet yet that still have intentions to do things, to take over. And they're not going to stop until they have full control. Now, I know there's been a lot of rumors. Yes, there's been a lot of things cleared off this planet. There's been a lot of dark entities and things cleared off this planet. But there still has to be a balance here no matter what, because it's third density, third dimension. There still has to be a balance of positive and negative. It has to be dark and light. There has to be that balance, because it has to give people that connection so they can see that light in themselves and make that choice. Or if they want to go to a negative polarity, that's their choice too. So that's the purpose of this being here. We are at that end of that cycle. And there will be where it comes, where it will happen just like that, where that shift will happen and people will disappear. They will leave, literally. And the rest of the world will be going, what just happened? Where did people go? Those who are aware or awake, who maybe are not quite ready for that first shift, will realize what happened. And then before that second shift can happen, there has to be another group of people to get ready to bring the energy back up, to turn within, so they can push the energy up again, so they can shift as well. Now, unless people, of course, pass from the physical, unless there's, you know, disease, violence, things like that, like like what's happening. Um, so we need to stop looking. Okay, how do I word this without sounding? We need to stop trying to. These things are happening for a purpose on this planet. Everything is happening for a purpose. It's to get people awakened, to get them in here rather than out there. It's to move themselves in here, their heart. It's to bring that compassion back, that sensitivity back, because it's not happening. People are become too cold. And I admit I was. And this last week, I realized, I watched myself. I never watch my videos over. But the part one of the prophecy video, I watched that first 9 minutes of myself. And I realized that it brought me to tears because I realized that how do I word that? I could see the lone love in myself. I could see it in here when I was watching it. I'm not trying to blow up my ego. It's not about that. But I could actually see the love coming from myself and realize that I'm a compassionate person. And I was maybe not showing it all the time, maybe being too hard on people. And that's not who we are. I've let myself become too focused on other stuff. And it's been a very difficult ride for the last 3 years or more. I mean, almost 2 years ago, my brother left this physical world, and my dad was in a coma. And it was very, very traumatic. It was very difficult. And I think part of that hardened my heart because it was very difficult. And that's the tendency to what we do. We close our heart, we close around ourselves when we go through trials like this. And I realized that. And so I feel more compassion because so many are going through so many difficult times. We need to come together. We need to work within here. That's what it's about. You know, before I wanted to talk about all this, and I was hesitant because I wasn't sure. I just was unsure because I want to provide messages from the heart. And I was a little bit hesitant because it's personal. When we share personal experiences, it can be difficult, especially lessons that we learn. And I was meditating one night, and I saw a Bengal tiger, and I saw it outside of a barn, and it was pawing at the door to try and get in. And I looked at the meaning of that, and it said the Bengal tiger represents courage, represents to be strong, to be open, to be not afraid. The barn represented my heart. So I realized that it was telling me, do not be afraid. Share your messages because others may need to hear this. And we need to realize that it is coming to that point where, whether you believe it or not, there will be a shift. It will happen just like that, without any notice. It will happen without any it will just be quick. Happen. So be ready for it. Let's be ready for this. Let's start focusing on what you want to see in a new earth, going to the new earth. Because we're not meant to stay in this physical. And again, there's nothing wrong with this physical earth. There's nothing. I love it. I love the animals. I love the nature. I love the people here. It's just that this is getting people to push people to awaken. And the more they ignore that awakening, the harder these trials are going to be. So let's make that shift. Let's all share this. Please share this video. Please tell other people to become back to God, your creator, our true God self. Let's do that. Let's show compassion to each other. Let's be kind to each other. Let's focus on that instead of the outer world, instead of what whoever so-and-so said from whatever, the government or whoever, or somebody said this, it's going to be changed, somebody that claims they're from the inside or whatever. No, it's your choice, but that will only hold you to this physical reality. I know I miss home. I want to go back to my family, my star family. I want to go back home. I miss my brother. I want to see him. So please, let's do this. Let's make this happen. Let's be in this first wave. Let's shift, let's ascend, and be in a world where you've always dreamed about. So please share this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate it. Please leave a comment. And know that I love you all like I love myself. And I'll leave it to this because this was I'll share this with my father had. So my father was meditating and he asked to see Jesus, Sananda, and Sananda appeared in his meditation. My dad asked him, why do I have all these physical ailments, these physical problems? My dad had sepsis. He had open heart surgery. He almost lost his life many times. He's had many other infections and things happen. And he said, why do I go through this? Is there something wrong with me? And Sananda, Jesus said, what do you see when you see me? And my dad said, oh, love, unconditional love, a beautiful soul, a beautiful being. Sananda, Jesus puts a mirror in front of my dad. And he says to my dad, that's what I see in the mirror in front of you. Beautiful. That's very beautiful. Remember that. Each of you are a beautiful soul, beautiful being, unconditional love. Be that to others. Thank you.